So those of you who know me know that I love to do project reviews, and that's not one of those videos, so wait, don't go just yet. This is the kind of community standards page I always take you to right at the beginning reviewing people's projects. And it lists kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9 items. But I was thinking, I do review a lot more items. What happens if we could create a web page using GitHub's API, maybe with NextJS, that displays more of these items with checkboxes, and you can see maybe high, medium, or low if you need to improve them for your project. So I thought, could that be a good project? Maybe we can try and build it in this video today, like a prototype, and maybe it's something we could turn into a SaaS product later on as we add more and more features. Let me know what you think, and stay tuned, and let's build this together. So these are the standard ones that all repos get, and I really do think of other items that I think are important. Here they've got description, but they don't check for URL. I think URL should be checked. Topics should be checked. Are you using topics? Is your project discoverable? Let's pick the BIODROP project, for example. We have a description, which it checks. It doesn't check for a URL, which I think it should. It doesn't check for topics again, which I think it should. And, releases are releases being used. I think that's important. If packages aren't being used, which is fine, but is it displayed? As you can see here, there's no packages here. Packages are hidden because we're not using them. Same with the wiki. We are using discussions and we are using project boards. So we have kept those there, but maybe you want to hide them. Actually, I recommend you hide them if they're not being used. And there are so many other checks that I do on those review live streams and videos, but I wanted to code some with you today to see if we could automate it. So my thinking is we use the latest Next.js. I'm also thinking we can use Tailwind, maybe something like this. On the left, it could be an icon. This could be the item we're checking. Maybe this could be a description of the item. And on the right, it could be the results. Maybe we'll use like the green icon here. So it'd be green, amber, or red with high, medium, or low, and something up there. I'm not sure yet. So let's just start building, and I'll show you what I mean. So let's create a Next.js project, and we'll call it health check video. Should we use TypeScript? Not for this. I do love TypeScript though, but we won't use TypeScript here. We'll use ESLint, we'll use Tailwind, we'll use the source directory, and we'll use the lovely app router. This is asking for my password because I use my GPG keys to sign my commits on Git. But you probably won't get that. So let's go into that. Let's go into health check video. Right, we're there. Like I always suggest, run the project before we make any changes. So let's do npm run dev. And let's bring up localhost. That's the basic Next.js project. So let's delete all the crud we don't want in there. So we'll go into the page file. So in the source, then app directory, we have page here. Let's just delete all this out. We could keep main in there maybe. Let's have a look. Let's delete all the contents of this. All this stuff we do not need. Delete. We can just write health check. Can't spell health. I think that's correct. Save. And then in the layout, what have we got? I think that looks okay. Again, the title and description we want to change, but let's just keep it kind of super lightweight here. And let's remove everything that isn't Tailwind. Close that. How does the page look? Looks good. It's still centered, and that is because of this. So let's remove these as well. Let's have a look. There we go. Okay, we've got kind of a simple, basic page. And what we can do here is actually copy this code. I think there's a full width one somewhere down here. Here we go. But it's got a clickable, and we can remove that, or we can leave it in to give more information. So let's just hit code. Let's copy that, and we'll go through that in a minute. And we can put this straight. What have we got here? It does create the whole component, or page, should I say. So let's leave that. We haven't installed this, so we will need to install this as well. So let's go back to here and do npm install. We need these icons. Okay. And now if we hit save, let's see if the page works. We should call this page. And let's go have a look, refresh. That looks good. Okay, we're getting there. It doesn't quite got the information we want, but that's pretty easy to do. So the next thing we want to do, let's get some data, because we've got the data here and we're going to want to change this a bit. Like, for example, people is going to change to repo, maybe, I think will be a good one. So let's get the data. So what we can do here is you could use it as a client component, but I think we should use it as a server component. Let's do use server, and then let's also make this asynchronous, because it's a server component on Next.js, we can do that. And then we can fetch the data. So we can go const res fetch. We are going to fetch the URL, and I've already got the URLs loaded up here. So for this page, we actually have it in one of these tabs. Let me see which one it is. Yes, here we go. So this is the health check one. So let's just grab all of that. Oh, actually, we could grab it so we don't make the request, or we could make the request and make it every time. As we're going to be reloading the page a lot, I don't want to get rate limited. I don't want to have to get a token and all that, crazy stuff. It's not that crazy. It's pretty straightforward. But what I might do is copy this, because it is from their API and it saves us doing a fetch request. We already have the data, but we could easily do a fetch request in there. So what we could do here is we could just go const, and then we could say community, and then we could save that. It is an object, so we hit save. So we've got community, and then we also want the repo information, because things that I think we should check for, like I said, is the URL. Is there a URL for the page, and topics and other things? So let me copy that as well, and we can call that the repo. So here we can go const repo. And again, we want to replace these with API calls to GitHub, but I don't want to do that until it's ready, because then I don't want, like I said, hit the API rate limits. Let me paste that and save that. So we've actually got the data that we want already, which is awesome. So we can actually, let's reduce some of these because they're pretty big, or we can delete a lot of stuff that we don't need as well. There's a few things we can do. Again, we're going to delete those out. They're not going to get committed in, because we will be making actual real requests. But let me just minimize it for the moment now until we get a bit more organized. Okay. So what we want to do is we're looping over, doing a map, so a loop over over people, and we're pulling out person. So I want to rename these because that's going to get confusing. So I think we're going to want to go over repo. Actually, let's change that to what it was, person, and do a replace for repo. Okay, there's 11. I think that's pretty good. Okay, let's replace all those, and then people as well. And sorry, I've really messed that up. Undo that. People is meant to go to repo. That's correct. Okay. And why is that complaining? I'll declare twice. Yes, because I've renamed this example one that came in as part of the copy and paste from Tailwind. So let's remove that. We don't need that one. Okay. Right, that makes it a bit shorter. Let's minimize community. So the first thing we can check for is the URL. I think that's really, really straightforward. So let's do that. So what we'll want to do, I think, is create a function that loops over the data and returns like a high, medium, or low, and a bit more information about that. So let's have a look. So we can do const, and we can do check, and then the check is going to want to get a parameter, and it's going to want to then return an array of objects. Okay, so what we're going to do is it's going to get repo sent in. Again, it is global for now, so we wouldn't have to pass it in. But the thing is, it won't always be. So it will actually be fetch data. So that's why I'm trying to plan a little bit ahead. Pre-optimization isn't good, but I think in this case, it's okay. Let's see how we get on. So therefore, the next thing we want to do is, rather than loop over repo, because that's not what we're going to want to loop over, we're going to want to loop over checks with an S, and then we want to pass in repo. So if I save that, so that should work now. If I save that, and it should work because it should loop over nothing because it's returning an empty array. So the page should not break. Fingers crossed. Yeah, the page doesn't break. It's okay. There's just nothing displayed. So that's fine. And there's one thing we could display on the page above here. If we wanted to, we could put like a length so we know how many checks there are. So we could do something like this, and we could say, H1, there are checks. And then what we can do here is we could go checks. And again, we are recalling the function again, and it is recalculating it. So there's some optimization we could do there later on. There we go. So if we hit save, and then I need to just close that at the end and hit save again. Let's have a look. There are 0 checks. So that's great. We're expecting 0. So the next thing we want to do is actually add a check. So let's do the URL. So I think what we have here in the information is we have the first thing we do have person. So we should call that a check, really. So we're going to replace person with check. And there's an email to give the unique identifier. We could probably use the name for that. So first thing first, let's do name. And we're going to check for URL. That's going to be unique. Oh, don't need 2 commas. Okay, and we do want an icon. So it has got a photo here, but we are going to do an icon. Let's have a look. What have we got? So we've got an image, but we're going to change that to an icon. So there's an icon at the end as well. So what we can do to keep it the same size, let's copy that and let's just check it works. Little increments is super, super important. So let's replace that image. And actually, we could make it a bit bigger. They've got 12 and they've got 5 here. So let's make that a bit bigger, 12. And we will change the color probably to match if it's like an error or not. Let's see. How do you build your project? I'm kind of keen to see how you do it. So let's remove that because I want this to be dynamic. Oh, we can leave it for the moment. Let's just check it works. There'll be an error because there's actually an error in our code. Oh yes, here we go. Icon isn't defined. So let's just put that there. And then we've got an icon. The other issue we'll have here is check.icon. Is we haven't got, name will exist, so that will be fine, but there will be some other checks like email doesn't exist. So that we probably actually don't need a link on the email because it's not going to be an email. What we're going to do is a description. So we can description. We can actually put that in. Let's have a look. Description. Wonder if Copilot, the URL of the repository. Not the best description, but thank you so much, Copilot. That does help, and that gives us something to just get something displayed on the page and working. Let's minimize the side nav, give us some more real estate. Last scene. We're not going to want to do last scene. We're not going to want to do this check, but we are going to want to have that kind of red or green dot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove that completely because we don't want that ternary. We don't want the first item, but we do want the second item. So we can delete that and let's remove this. So now it says online. There's no check. It's going to say online, or we could say low or no action. We'll have some more information shortly. There is a role here, which we don't want. I think we probably want, maybe action is for that one. So we could say action. And what we can do up here is we could say action and we could say no action required. We are going to make these conditional. So this is actually going to do a check on the data we get back from GitHub. But at the moment, I'm just hard coding it just to make sure it all works. Make sure I've kind of got all the properties. So here we've got a href. There won't be one. So what I might do is just replace that with a hash for the moment because we haven't got another page to go on to just yet. So let me hit save. Let's see. I don't think we've missed any. How does it look? Okay, so we've got this icon at the front. It's obviously the wrong icon because it's the one at the end, but I just wanted to make sure it works. So I think that looks good. Like that kind of works. I feel like I've progressed and it's worked. So now let's change the icon. So let's have a look what else we've got here. So for the URL, I wonder if there's a URL in here or is there a link? Here we go, link icon. So let's just grab that, put this up here. So let's import it. And then we've got icon is link. And if we save it, now we should see it's got a link icon that looks better. We probably want to make that green to match the green over here. Again, it will just be so much nicer to quickly straight away see, identify if it's a low, medium or high. So that's pretty good. But let's actually do the real check now because this isn't the real check. So we're passing in the repo, but we are not using it. So we need to use it. So let's have a look. Let's open repo, and there is URL in here. We can minimize owner, and there is URL. No, that's the GitHub URL, which it has lots of those to go get more information, which is great. I think they call it homepage URL. Let's have a look. Homepage. Let's call it homepage. Okay. So let's minimize this all completely, give us some more real estate. And here we can say action. Action is going to be the what to take. So actually we need one more. Let me go back to this page. Oh yes, it's this one we need to check as well. So we need to do two checks that are the same, but 2 results. One's going to be low, medium, or high, and one's going to be an action. So we actually want to probably have priority. So we want this to be dynamic, and we want this to be, it's going to be, what was it? Check dot priority. So let's just check that works as well by going, I'll put it next, priority, and just high. Make it lowercase, and we can always, convert it to uppercase if we want. It says high. It's green and high doesn't make sense, but again, we're going to make this real and dynamic now. So let's have a look. I mean, we could always put a repo URL if it's more descriptive, although it has got a description. The icon will stay the same, it won't change, but the priority will change. So what we want to do is we want to say repo.homepage. If it doesn't exist, it's a high. And if it does exist, then it's a low. There's no medium in this case. And then with the action, we want something similar. So I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to say, if there is a homepage, no action required. If there isn't one, we need to say add a URL. So let's hit save. And let's have a look. No action required. High. Is that correct? That doesn't sound right. Oh, wrong way around. If there is a home page, it's low. If there isn't, it's a high. There we go. Okay, so that looks better. But, it didn't really change. So I know you don't trust me. So let's see how we can make this actually work. Or make sure that you trust me. And we haven't got any kind of red. It's going to be green. It's going to say high and be green. So actually, let me change that as well. So the way we can do that is a few different ways. We can create a utility for the class function to concatenate the classes. We can do an extra check in here. You can do a backticks. Oh my God, I can't think what it's called, but you know what I mean. So there are various ways we could do this. Again, it's good to do something really simple, check it works, and then refactor and tidy up later on. So what I'll probably do something really simple here is I will do it with the backticks, which is not like the best way, but it gets us something working. Don't need the quotes. Oops, delete too much. Don't need the quotes. There we go. Oh, need the curly braces. I need another coffee, I think. Here we go. Okay, so we've got that. It'll still be green, and I can refresh it, and we'll see it still works. But we want to do a condition here. So what we can do is we can say if check priority is high, or we should say or low, then we want it to be green, and we'll put quotes around those. Otherwise, we want it to be red. And again, this doesn't cater for a medium. So again, we'll have to use a utility class, I think, to make it better when we come to have a medium. I think that's really important. I don't like that red. Let's make it 600. How's that? It's a bit better. Okay. Why have we got an error? What have I missed? Closing bracket. Oh, closing bracket. No. Yes. That's correct. Okay, hit save, it reformat it. Okay, so now it should still be green, it is, but if I go to the data up here, and we don't really want to change this data because it's what we'll get from GitHub, but I will just change it. So if I delete, where is it? It was called homepage, wasn't it? We can minimize, I think it was before organization. Topics, we will need topics, you've got license check as well. Where is it? Homepage. So if we remove homepage and hit save, you can see now it's high and red with a green circle around it. Okay, there's one more extra check we need to do down there. This is why I love checking as you go along rather than doing like kind of loads of code and then find out something doesn't work. So we've got this background also needs changing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something very similar. Again, a short-term solution. Change that, change the quote to a backtick like so. And then we'll put the condition in. I'm just going to copy that and we'll say, it's going to be the background. Otherwise, if it fails, it's going to be, oh, I missed something I've done. Oh, I didn't put the, there we go. Put it in there like so. And that should now work, but we'll change that to red. I think that should look better. So if I hit save, you can see now it's got the kind of the reddish glow around it. And if I put this back, I can't put it back, can I? Because here we go. I can't do undo because I'll lose what I just did. So we can just go homepage. There we go. Copilot remembered it. Perfect. And it's gone back to green and low again. And the same with action again. So we could, did action change? Let's have a look. Yeah, add URL. So, and it's high. And if I put it back in, it goes no action required and low. So we could now have multiple checks for topics. Have you got topics? Yes, great. But have you got too many topics? Because some people put like 30 topics and it's just like, it like pushes, if I bring up the repo, it then pushes, if you've got say 10 lines of these, it pushes all this stuff further down off the page. And that stuff is also important. So really, I think 2 to 3 lines. So we could then say, have you got topics? Great. Have you got More than 3 topics, great. Have you got less than like 10 topics? Also great, it's green, no action required. Or have you got less than 3 or more than 10, then actually that's maybe an orange, like a medium. And if you've got no topics at all, that's a high and a red. So that we could do checks like that. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Is that something that would be useful? Is that something you would pay for? Could I turn this into a micro SaaS? Just really interested to see. And how else can we add value to that? Could we do it so it automatically checks on a scheduler like once a week, sends a report? You have that historic of like, is the project getting more friendly? Like you could give an overall score. Is it getting more community friendly? Is it not? These are just crazy ideas I've got, and I would love your thoughts and feedback on it. For those of you who stuck around right till the end, I've got a little bonus for you, and I really appreciate you sticking around to the end. The bonus is I actually spent a bit more time on this, just maybe another hour, and I went through, and for the BIODROP project, I went and grabbed loads more data from like 4 or 5 different endpoints on GitHub. And you can see I've got 0 high at the moment, 2 mediums and 9 lows. So we've got the homepage URL that we just did in this video, description, license, topics that we spoke about. See, 2 rows recommended is a medium because I've got 3 rows. So it's great that you can see the orange working. We check for workflows. Are workflows being used? Releases. Are there releases being used? Yes, you have more than 30 releases. And I also did a check, is there a stable release in the last 30? And there are. And is the latest release quite new? Is it within the last 30 days is what I coded. And you can see latest release was 2 days ago. So again, it's a low, no action required because releases are really important. And I've still got loads more list of things I want to add to this. Let me know what you would like to add. Come and geek out with me in EddieHub Discord. We geek out open source projects all the time. And I look forward to geeking out with you there. Link in the description below.